Hi, I'm Perry Atkinson, General Manager here at theDove. Hey, check out our other videos and check out our website at thedove.us. Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and we're continuing on talking to some of the great speakers that are providing an incredible service with an outreach called COHO, which is Choosing Options, Honoring Options, and it's coming up Thursday again at the Smullen Center. They have two sessions that repeat the same information, 2 o'clock in the afternoon and 7 o'clock in the evening. Delighted to have with us Adie Goldberg. She's a licensed clinical social worker and co-chair of COHO. And Adie, nice to have you back. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having us.
I just want to say thanks for what you guys are providing over there. I've had a lot of your guest speakers in, and just an incredible service that you're providing. Just wonderful. And I don't know how you brought all this together, and sometimes it's difficult us to talk about the process of dying, but it affects all of us in our families and around. And so you are going to be talking about what?
This coming presentation on Thursday evening is a little bit different than all the others because it's a dramatic presentation about whose death is it anyway. And it really looks at, with several actors, what it's actually like when you have a crisis that's bringing you to the end of your life, how the decision impacts not only you, but the family members who you've talked to about it.
Really? So you got a little drama going on there. And is that going to take up the whole evening? Or?
It's about a 15-minute vignette, and then the actors will talk about what it was like for them to play the roles, and then we open it up to question and answer between the audience and the actors and myself. There's
a lot that goes on during this time in someone's life, and a lot of things to consider. Is there somewhat of a gap between how far a doctor will go until where maybe you or hospice kicks in?
Well, there's a huge gap, and that's the importance of the conversation that COHO encourages us to have. The physician's default position is to continue to do treatment and do everything. Oftentimes we don't know what do everything means when we say yes, do everything. And so this explores what are the very specific aspects of everything, and is it consistent with what we were hoping would be the end of our life.
Is it difficult to get a family involved in this conversation?
It is, you know, we'd probably rather talk about taxes and politics than death.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard. Even my own children, who they know what I do. I have 3 adult daughters, and they find it very difficult when I want to tell them what my end-of-life preferences are.
Really?
Yes.
But we're all faced with it, and sooner or later it happens in our family, and we have to deal with it, and the whole purpose of COHO is to help you with that, right?
Absolutely. We really don't endorse any particular solution or resolution to one's life. What we're endorsing is that we need to have the conversation so that our loved ones know that, and also that that information is transmitted to the medical community who's going to be providing us the care and the choices when the time comes.
This is just good stewardship all the way around.
Absolutely.
You know, and yet sometimes you're caught with this by surprise, and that really kind of compounds the emotions. But there is a time there where you can work with them and help them, right?
Absolutely. What happens, though, is if we can have this conversation not in the crisis, we all can be a little bit calmer and understand what are the choices. But if we haven't had the conversation, and sometimes even if we had had the conversation, in the emotions of the moment, in the crisis of the emergency room, we just say, please save my loved one. I need more time. And that, when we say that phrase, then a whole series of medical interventions begin that we may not have anticipated.
So through this little drama you're going to do, what are you trying to convey here?
That just because choices are offered doesn't mean we have to take them up. At any point in the process, we can speak up about that. That the more we've had the conversation and are clear about what we want and communicate that to our loved ones, the easier it's going to be for them to say what's needed. And my experience in the hospital is that the hardest thing for a family member is when they don't know what their loved one wants. And the greatest gift we can give anyone in our family is to take the burden of the decision off of them, and all they become then is our spokesperson and not the decision maker.
Yeah, living wills and such.
Absolutely.
And is that happening more?
There's something called the Advanced Directive.
Advanced Directive, right.
And you can go on Oregon.gov, you can call the COHO office, you can come to any of these Thursday speakers events because we have copies of the advance directives. The final presentation in the co-host series is going to be an opportunity to actually fill out your own advance directive with some facilitation.
Is it difficult? Can you change it?
Absolutely. It's not written in stone, and people do change it. What was important to me when I was in my 30s, as I'm not in my 30s anymore, it changes. And so the most important piece of the advance directive is naming the two people that will speak for you, and then making sure you have the conversation with them and update it so that they are relieved of that burden of decision making.
I think this is one of the most important things anybody can do is deal with living wills and advance directives, and all of these are tools and instruments today. So when this time comes, you're prepared, and you are so right by having that conversation now so that you kind of figure out, I don't know what they want, what we should do. But what's so interesting to me is that when the advance directive is done, who gets a copy?
Well, you want to have it in multiple places, and some people put it in their safety deposit box. That's the worst place to put it in a crisis because nobody knows where it is. So you want to make sure that your doctor has a copy, that the spokespeople for you have, your healthcare representatives have a copy. The hospital will put it on record. All the hospitals in our area will ask you at admissions, do you have an advance directive? And they'll put it in the medical file. I recommend people put it in their glove boxes in their car in an emergency. Lawyers are always appropriate, but we can't always get a hold of them in an emergency.
So have you been able to do like a little bit of is there stages that people go through? And I realize these stages can get bunched up within hours, but what typically happens when somebody all of a sudden is faced with this? Well,
the stages get compressed sometimes into literally minutes.
Yeah, right.
And so we're shocked, first of all, you know, that this is happening because, you know, as much as we know death might happen, we don't really believe it's going to happen to us or our loved ones. So, and then there's the denial, and then there's the bargaining, all the stages that we talk about. And it all gets compressed into a very intense time, and the medical staff is turning to a decision maker and saying, what do you want us to do? And do you want us to do everything? And when the medical person says everything, they know what that looks like. We have no idea unless we've gone through it what that looks like, and it gets very complicated.
Are physicians now becoming more attuned to this? In other words, they realize as a physician, here's their diagnosis. Do they hand the patient off to somebody like you or Coho, or is that happening, or is there still that little gap there?
It's getting better, and I think we're more comfortable with that. Physicians take an oath to cure, so that becomes the direction that they go. Sometimes curing for the rest of us may not be actually trying to heal a body part, but more healing the whole person, the relationships, their unfinished spiritual business, their unfinished apologies, thank yous. And so we look at cure a little bit differently. So while they may be looking at one aspect and working very hard and doing their job, we try to take a bigger picture about what that healing might look like.
All right, this is coming up Thursday. There's 2 sessions, one at 2 in the afternoon, one at 7 in the evening at the Smullen Center. And Adie, one more time, you're going to be covering what? What's going to happen this Thursday?
A very talented group of actors are going to be doing a lovely script dramatizing what happens when you're faced with end-of-life choices, and then a discussion.
Wow, it's powerful. And what are the next 2 sessions? You got 2 more to go in the series.
Very quickly, there's one on palliative care. All the different ways that we can provide comfort. End-of-life is the next one. And then the final one is actually help with filling out your own advance directive.
All right. Well, I'm telling you, take advantage of this. Coho, that's choosing options, honoring options, and again, Thursday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, then they repeat it again at 7 in the evening. Thank you, Adie, for coming in, and thanks for what you do.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back.